From its early service with the Trade Federation to the height of the Clone Wars, the Vulture Droid was a fairly iconic starfighter within the Star Wars galaxy. And today we're going to take a closer look at its design, its history, and how it was used by the various factions that deployed it. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. So the Vulture Droid, known formally as the Variable Geometry Self-Propelled Battle Droid Mark I, was designed and manufactured by Vulture Engineering, an engineering firm responsible for a lot of the war equipment utilized by the Trade Federation during their invasion of Naboo. Its relatively small size and compact nature allowed it to be fielded and stored relatively easily, and in huge numbers. On top of that, add to the fact that these are droid starfighters and they don't need pilots, made them relatively cheap to operate. Armed originally with twin blaster cannons and a pair of energy torpedo launchers, the Vulture Droid was actually not very well armed. But like I said earlier, because they were cheaper to manufacture, therefore cheaper to buy, and easier to store in ridiculously large numbers, they could be fielded in massive swarms that allowed them to simply overwhelm an enemy with numbers, so they didn't have to necessarily be very well armed. On top of that, they weren't shielded and they didn't have hyperdrives. Basically, the cheapest, mass production capable starfighter that could be rolled out in crazy numbers. It's notable that during this fighter's later days of service, several weapon systems were added, including a set of missile launchers for deploying buzz droids. So the Vulture Droid first saw significant use by the Trade Federation right around the time of the Battle of Naboo, where they were purchased in large numbers to defend Trade Federation ships against pirate vessels. The quick, agile, and nimble droid starfighters could easily outmaneuver and basically defeat anything that came after them, especially when the Vulture Droids outnumbered their adversaries 10-1. And this actually remained true during the Battle of Naboo, where the droid starfighters vastly outnumbered the Naboo Royal Starfighter Corps and nearly defeated them in straight-up combat. In fact, the only reason why the Vulture Droids failed to win this battle is that the droid control ship was destroyed. Like the OOM series battle droids utilized by the Trade Federation during this time, the Vulture Droids also relied on a central computer for guidance, so with the destruction of that computer, the Vulture Droids simply shut down as well. The Trade Federation would continue to maintain a large fleet of Vulture Droids following the Naboo crisis, and still have them deployed on a lot of their ships all the way through to the beginning of the Separatist crisis, 10 years later. And when the Trade Federation entered talks to play their role in the Confederacy of Independent Systems, a lot of their starfighters and equipment ended up being sort of taken by the Separatist forces. I use taken lightly here, by the way. They were clearly volunteered over to the Separatist cause. This included the Trade Federation's massive stockpile of Vulture Droids, which quickly became the mainstay fighter of the Separatists. In fact, the Separatists were likely buying more of these from Vulture Engineering. The Vulture Droids serving the Separatist military were painted in a new paint scheme and put directly into combat, where they were generally on par with early Republic starfighters like the V-19 Torrent. However, as the war progressed and the Republic began deploying more and more capable starfighters, things like the ARC-170 for example, the Vulture Droid became more and more outmatched by their Republic competitors, which were simply more capable in combat and could win in one-on-one fights. And Republic pilots were becoming more skilled and more capable at engaging and destroying Vulture Droids, learning the kind of tactics that these droids would be programmed to use in engagements against Republic starfighters. And add to that as the war dragged on, especially into the Outer Rim sieges during the later days of the conflict, the Separatists' ability to manufacture war equipment was significantly depleted, and that likely affected their ability to field these droids in large numbers, which by this point was their only real advantage. Which is why during the later days of the war, we often see Vulture Droids starting to be supplemented by other droid starfighters. Things like droid tri-fighters, for example, which were far more capable at dogfighting. Still, throughout the entire duration of the war, they were present in probably every single battle. I mean, we see them nearly everywhere, from the Battle of Coruscant to the Battle of Christophsis. With the droid shutdown order and the end of the Clone Wars, what exactly happened to all of these Vulture Droids? Well, they likely went the way most other Separatist battle droids went, ending up in scrapyards and smelting facilities to be broken down to their raw materials to be used to build new, more advanced starfighters for factions like the Galactic Empire. But the droid starfighters still gave Republic starfighters a run for their money, especially during the early years of the conflict. And if you'd like to learn about some of the Republic starfighters that were coming head-to-head with the Vulture Droids, I'll leave a link up here to my video on that. And I want you to let me know down in the comments what you think of the Vulture Droid. Was fielding this sort of cheap, easy-to-manufacture vehicle really a smart choice? Or would the Separatists have been better using something of more quality, but less quantity? And if you have anything you'd like to see me cover in Star Wars, leave it down below in the comments. And last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.